and a very happy to see all of you. I know most people in here, but I'd love to know everyone in here. We're just slipping the wonderful Biedenharn presents kind of out a little bit and making ready for the play. And of course, you see that you are right in the middle of the play. So that reflects our belief that you are very, very important as a live audience to a play. Especially, hello, come on in. Is Daddy with you too? Yeah, all right, good. We want Daddy.
There's seats in the front.
Tell them to sit in the front, Dina. Say, jump on here. You know they're going to want to see y'all's kind faces right in front. Yeah. Oh, they're not embarrassed. They're beautiful. I don't know if Dina's embarrassed, but Sage. I'm going to tell you. We'll put Scott right there. That's what So, anyway, to talk about a little bit about the play, first of all, though, these did not exist when the play was written. In Norway in the probably 1870s, produced in the 1880s. Henrik Ibsen knew nothing about cell phones. It's probably better for his creativity than he did not. So, just asking you, I'm going to double check my settings right now, just asking you to do the same thing and put that happy moon on or whatever it is on your cell phone that turns it completely off because we have our own pretty music and want to ask you. The other thing is during intermission, if you want to wander to the patio or to the restroom around that way that I was talking about, there will be ice-cold Coca-Colas. This is the Biedenharn Museum after all, for 5 cents. So that's a good thing. And you can come in, but you have to be in the show. Okay, good.
I'm ready.
So you're welcome. So that will be intermission, but I just have to tell you that Henrik Ibsen did not write the Instagram of theater. He wrote the volume, and he wrote a good many plays that are now still very much appreciated and still produced for the wonderful plays that they are. This play, A Doll's House, was one of his most famous plays. The version that we are using is from 1879. Eileen's going to check me on that. It was translated from the original Norwegian by William Archer, and it was produced in a London theater in 1879. So you see that this play has stood the test of time. Don't worry that you will feel that it is dated, because you'll right away catch on to the fact that these are real people in a real marriage. And I think most everyone in the audience will understand that these things they say to each other still represent attitudes that are present in our world today. Thank God that some of the economic problems are not still as much in our world today, but the attitudes and the way people relate to each other are. I'd like to mention a couple of other things. One is there was a beautiful, beautiful trailer. And a trailer is a little movie that's produced specifically to be released on social media. And my friend and his friend, our new friend, Tyler Wayne Smith, wrote the trailer. And Keith Hill of Terrestrial Productions produced the trailer here in Biedenharn Gardens. So if you haven't seen it, it is just wonderful, just beautiful. It features not only the cast that was so talented, but the beautiful costumes that were produced by Ruth Ulrich of Ulrich Designs. And so I can't say enough about all that talent that helped make this play special for people to want to come see. And here you are today. So we're happy you're here. Our cell phones are off because they didn't exist in Norway in the late 1800s. And I believe that our cast is probably ready, right, Mr. Adam?
You ready for me to send the message?
Send that message and I'll tap dance till they get out there. We don't want them to hang out in late 1800s winter costume in that crossing in that heat. So you can understand why not. Yes, ma'am, Miss Ivy.
William Archer's translation was 1879.
That's William Archer's translation. If I want to know anything, she does work at the library, but not even in reference. She's IT. Okay. So
But I am a librarian.
So I think I see someone out there now, and so we're going to go ahead and applaud for our beautiful production. Very proud of A Doll's House.
Perhaps in the corner, over there. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, how much do I owe you?
Oh, 50 or.
Well, then, here's a crown.
Oh, a crown, ma'am.
No, keep the change.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Merry Christmas.
Oh, and Merry Christmas to you. That's his home.
Is that my lark twittering there?
Yes, it is, Torvald.
Is it the squirrel skipping about?
Yes.
When did my squirrel get home?
Just this minute. Come in here and see all the things that I bought.
Don't disturb me. Bought, did you say? What? All that? Is my little spendthrift been making the money fly again?
Torvald, do let us launch out a little now. Surely we can afford to. It's the first Christmas we haven't had to pinch.
Come, Nora, we can't afford to squander money.
Torvald, do let us squander just this least little bit. Soon you'll be earning heaps of money.
Yes, from New Year's Day, but there's a whole quarter before my first salary is due.
Well, we can borrow until then.
Nora, thoughtless as ever. Now suppose I were to borrow 1,000 crowns today, and you were to spend it all during Christmas week, and on New Year's Eve a tile fall on the roof and knock my brains out.
Well, how can you talk so horridly?
Yes, but suppose it were to happen, my dear, what then?
Well, if such a dreadful thing were to happen, I shouldn't care whether we were in debt or not.
Yes, but what about the creditors?
Well, who cares about them, Torvald? They're only strangers.
Nora, what a woman you are. But really, my dear, you know my ideas on these points. Now come. No credits, no debts. Home life ceases to be free and beautiful as soon as it is founded on borrowing and debt. Now, we two have held out bravely till now, but we're not going to give in at the last.
Well, very well, Torvald. As you like.
Come. My little lark mustn't let her wings droop like this. There's a squirrel cat in there. Nora, what do you think I've got in my pocket?
Money.
There. Now, of course, I know all sorts of things are going to be wanted at Christmas.
10, 20, 30, 40. Oh, thank you, Torvald. This will go a long way indeed.
Certainly hope so.
Torvald, come here and see all the things that I've bought. I got a little doll and a cradle for Amy. They're only common, but she'll soon tear them all to pieces. And then I got a little trumpet and a horse for Ivar. Oh, and I got some neckties and some dresses for the servants and the maids. Although I probably should have gotten something better for dear old Amy.
And what's on that parcel over there?
You shan't see that until this evening, Torvald.
Oh, okay. Very well. And what about you, you little rogue? What have you got for yourself?
Me? I don't want anything.
Nonsense. Just tell me something sensible that you would like to have.
No, really, Torvald. There's nothing. Well,
Yes.
if you really want to get me something, you might.
Yes, come out with it, darling.
Well, you might get me money, Torvald, but only what you think you can spare, and then I could have time to think of something that I really want.
More.
Torvald, do as I say, and then, oh, we could put it in lovely gilt paper on the Christmas tree. Wouldn't that be lovely?
My dear, what do they call the birds that are always making the money pot?
Yes, I know, spendthrifts, of course, but Torvald, do as I say, and then I could have time to think of something that I really want. Isn't that very sensible?
Yes, indeed, if you would actually keep the money I give you and buy yourself something with it, but it all goes into housekeeping and all sorts of useless things. I'd find more. How can you deny it, Nora, dear? Well, it's a sweet little lark, but it goes to an awful lot of money. No one would believe what it costs a man to keep such a little bird as you.
Boy, Torvald, I save as much as ever I can.
Yes, it's very true, as much as you can. But you can't.
Well, you should know, Torvald, what expenses us larks and squirrels have.
You're a strange little creature. You know that just like your father. Always so eager to get all the money, but as soon as you got it, it slips right through your fingers. You never know what becomes of it. Well, one must take you as you are, I suppose. It's in the blood. Yes, Nora, that sort of thing is inherited.
Well, I wish I had inherited many of my father's qualities.
And I don't wish you was anything but what you are, my dear. My own sweet little soul. But I must say, it strikes me so. Nora, you seem so, what shall I call it? So suspicious today.
Do I?
Yes, you do indeed. Look me full in the face.
Well,
Hasn't the little sweet tooth been breaking the rules today?
no, Torvald, how could you think such a thing?
Haven't you just been to the confectioner's?
No, Torvald, really?
No, not to sip a little jelly.
Mm.
Not even to nibble a macaroon or two.
No, Torvald, indeed.
Of course, I'm only joking.
I shouldn't think of doing what you disapprove of, Torvald.
Oh, no, my dear, I'm very sure of that. Besides, you've given me your word. Well, very well. Keep your little Christmas secrets to yourself, Nora, darling. The Christmas tree is going to bring them all to light, I dare say.
Well, have you remembered to ask Dr. Brake?
Oh, no. But it's not necessary. He's going to come to the matter, of course. Besides, I'm going to invite him when he looks in today. I've ordered some capital wine. Nora, you can't think how I look forward to this evening.
Well, and I too, Torvald. I think the children will have such fun.
Do you remember last? Isn't it glorious to know that one has an assured position and ample means?
Yes, Torvald, it is wonderful.
And do you remember last Christmas, where for 3 whole weeks beforehand you locked yourself up in your room long past midnight making flowers for the Christmas tree and all sorts of wonders that were to have amazed us? I've never been so bored in my life.
Well, Torvald, I didn't bore myself at all.
And it all came to so very little after all.
You're going to tease me about that again. How could I help the cat getting in and spoiling it all?
To be sure, my dear, you couldn't. No. No, my dear, you did your best to amuse us all, and that's the main thing. But all the same, I'm very glad that the hard times are over.
And I too, Torvald.
Now I needn't sit here boring myself to death, and you needn't tire your dear eyes or your delicate little fingers.
No, I needn't, need I, Torvald. Let me tell you how I think we ought to manage once Christmas is over. I suppose perhaps maybe the well, that's somebody's call. How vexing.
Oh, God. Look, I'm not at home to calls. Remember that.
A lady's to see you, ma'am.
Do let her in.
And the doctor has just come, sir.
Oh, well, good morning, Dr. Gray.
morning. Why don't you look lovely?
Oh, and you too. He's in his study. Go, Lynn.
How do you do, Nora?
Well, how do you do?
I dare say you don't recognize me.
No, I don't believe. Well, Christina Linden, is that really you?
Yes, really me.
What, to think I didn't recognize you, but how could I? How changed you are, Christina.
In what, 9 or 10 years?
Has it really been that long? Yes, I suppose it has. You've come to town. All this long journey in midwinter. How brave of you.
I arrived off of this morning's steamer.
Oh, to keep Christmas, of course. Oh, how delightful. Let me take these and take a seat on the sofa. I'm sure you're freezing. I'll take the armchair. Yes. Now I can see that dear little face again. It was only at first glance, but you're a little paler, Christina, and perhaps a little thinner.
And much, much older.
Yes, perhaps a little older. Not much, just ever so little. Oh dear. What a thoughtless wretch I am. Here I sit, chattering on, and Christina, can you never forgive me?
Whatever do you mean?
Christina, I forgot you are a widow.
Well, yes. My husband died 3 years ago.
Yes, I saw it in the papers, and do believe me, Christina, I didn't mean to write, but something always came up.
Oh, no, Nora, I know.
Christina, it was absolutely horrid of me. So alone. And he left me nothing.
Nothing.
No children.
None.
Nothing at all.
Not even a sorrow or a longing to dwell upon.
So utterly alone. I can't even begin to imagine. Well, I have 2 of the loveliest children, Christina. Well, I can't show them to you now. They're out with the nurse, but now you must tell me everything.
Oh no, I want you to tell me.
Christina, you must begin. I will not be egotistical today. But I might tell you one thing. Perhaps you've heard of our recent stroke of fortune? Just think, Christina, my Torvald has been made manager of Joint Stock Bank. Your husband! Oh, how fortunate! Oh, yes, isn't it wonderful? He's to begin his new position in the new year, and then we will have a large salary and percentages. Oh, Christina, soon we'll be earning heaps of money, Christina. Heaps.
Nora, haven't you learned reason yet? In our school days, you were a shocking little spendthrift.
Yes, Torvald says I still am, but we've both had to work.
You too.
Yes, like fancy work, crochet and embroidery and things of the sort. You know, in our first year of marriage, Torvald, he overworked himself tirelessly. He was always working these odd jobs, working early and late, and he eventually felt dangerously ill. And that's how we had to go south.
That's right, you spent a year in Italy, didn't you?
It was a delightful journey, Christina. It was just after little Emmy's birth, and it saved Torvald's life. But I must tell you, it cost a frightful lot of money. $1,200, Christina. 4,800 crowns. Isn't that a lot of money?
How lucky you had the money to spend.
Well, I must tell you, we got it from father.
That's right. He died just about that time, didn't he?
Yes, Christina, just then. And just think, I couldn't go and nurse him. Little Emmy had just been born, and of course I had Torvald to attend to. That's the hardest thing I've had to bear since my marriage.
But your husband returned completely cured.
Sound as a bell.
So then the doctor.
What about him?
Well, I thought as I came in, your servant announced that the doctor
Oh,
had...
well, that's Dr. Frank. But he doesn't come as a doctor, he comes as our very best friend. He never lets a day pass without stopping in. So, tell me, Christina, is it true that you didn't love your husband? What made you take him then?
Well, my mother, she was sick then, and of course I had my 2 little brothers to take care of. I thought it was my duty to accept him.
Well, perhaps it was. He was rich then.
Very well off, I believe, but his business was uncertain and fell to pieces at his death. I just had to keep way by any means I could. I had a shop, a little school. But the last 3 years have been one long struggle after another for me. Can you believe it? When I heard of the happy change in your circumstances, I rejoiced for my own account and then for yours.
What do you mean, Christina? You mean perhaps Torvald could do something for you?
Yes, I'd hoped so.
Well, then so we shall, Christina. Just leave it all up to me. I shall lead up to it beautifully. I shall think of something to put him in a really good humor. I should so love to do something for you.
Oh, how good of you. Oh, I'm doubly good of you, who knows just so little of the troubles in life.
I, who know so little of...
Well, a little fancy work and so forth.
Come, Christina, you mustn't be so patronizing.
No?
Well, you're just like the rest. You think that I'm fit for nothing really serious. You think that I've had no troubles in this weary world.
But my dear Nora, you've just sat here and told me all of your troubles.
Who those troubles, Christina? I have told you the great thing.
The great thing? What great thing?
Henrik, I must tell you, and Torvald mustn't know. Christina, nobody must know about this. Nobody but you. Yes, Christina, I too have something to be proud and glad of. I told you about our going to Italy. Torvald would have died but for that trip.
Right, and your father gave you the money.
Yes. So Torvald and everyone else believes. But Father didn't give us one penny. I found the money. You? $1,200, 4,800 crowns. Isn't that a lot of money?
But Nora, where did you get it from? You didn't win the lottery, did you?
The lottery? Any fool could have done that.
Well, then where did you get it from?
Sure, I don't know.
Well, of course you couldn't borrow it.
No? Well, why not?
A woman can't borrow without her husband's consent.
Well, when a woman knows in a little business and how to set things about, then...
But I don't understand.
What do you mean? I never said I borrowed the money. Perhaps I got it in another way. Perhaps from some admirer when one is so attractive as am I.
You're too silly, Nora.
I'm sure you're dying of curiosity.
Tell me, don't you think you've been at least a little bit rash?
Well, was it rash to save one's husband's life?
I think it rash of you without his knowledge.
Well, it would have been fatal for him to know, Christine. Don't you understand? The doctors, they came to me privately. They told me that nothing could save him but the Church of the South. Very well, thought I, but saved you must be. And then I found a way to do it. Christina, dear, when there was times when I didn't know where to turn and I didn't have any money, sometimes I would scrape and pull money from wherever I could.
So you had to come from your own pocket.
Yes, of course, after all, it was my idea. Whenever Torvald gave me money, I never spent more than half of it. I always bought the simplest of things.
And how much have you been able to pay off?
Well, that I cannot precisely say. I only know that I paid off everything that I could scrape together. Sometimes when I didn't know where to turn, I would pretend that there was this rich old gentleman that was in love with me.
Gentleman?
Well, I would pretend that he was now dead. And when his will was read aloud, there stood in large letters, everything of which I die must be paid over at once to that charming person, Mrs. Nora Helmer.
But my dear Nora, what gentleman do you mean?
But dear, don't you understand? There is no gentleman, a woman that I used to drain and drain when I was at my wit's end for money. But the tiresome old creature makes stay where he is for me. I hear nothing for him or his will. See, isn't it delightful? To be free from cares. Free. Quite free.
Oh, there's a ring. Perhaps I'd better go.
No, I'm sure it's to be someone for Torvald. Just think the same.
A gentleman to speak with Mr. Helmer.
Who is it?
It is I, Mrs. Helmer.
What do you want with my husband?
Bank business. In a way,
Then it is.
I hold a small position in the joint stock bank. And your husband's to be our new chief.
Then go in. He's in his study, I believe.
Nora, who is that man?
A Mr. Krogstad. Do you know him?
Yes, I used to. He worked for a lawyer's office in our town.
So he did.
Changed things.
Well, I believe his marriage was unhappy.
So he's a widower.
With lots of children.
But they say his business is not the most creditable.
Wasn't it? I dare say not, but let's not talk of business, Christina. It's so tiresome.
No, I won't keep you. No, I'll just go on and have a chat with your wife. Pardon me, I'm de Trouvaille here too.
Oh, not only is Dr. Rank, this is Christina Linden.
Oh, I've often heard Miss Linden's name. I believe I passed you on the way upstairs, is that right?
Yes, I do go so very slowly. The stairs try me.
I'm so sorry, you're not very strong?
Only over.
Oh, then you come to town to find rest in a round of dissipation?
I've come to find employment.
Is that a remedy for overwork?
One must live, Dr. Ray.
Yes, that's the general opinion.
Well, come, show yourself you must want to live, Dr. Rank.
Oh, to be sure I do. However wretched I may be, I want to keep dragging on as long as possible. My patients have all the same mania. You know, it's just the same with people whose complaint is moral. Right as we speak, Elmer's talking to such a wreck as I mean.
Whom do you mean?
A Mr. Krogstad, a man you know nothing about. He's corrupt to the very core of his character. And even he began by announcing solemnly that he must live.
Indeed. Well, then what did he want with Torvald?
I don't know, I only gathered it was some bank business.
Well, I didn't know that Mr. Krogstad had anything to do with the bank.
He has some place there. Now, I don't know if in your part of the country you have people who go rooting and snuffling around in search of moral rottenness, whose policy it is to fill good places with men of tainted character, whom they can keep under their eye and their power. The honest men leave it rotten cold.
Well, perhaps it is these delicate characters that require the most care.
And there we have it.
It's that very notion that makes society a hospital.
Now, what are you laughing at? Do you have an idea what society is?
What do I care for you and your tiresome society? I was laughing at something else, something awfully amusing. Dr. Rick, is it true that everyone at the bank is dependent on Torvald?
Now, don't tell me that's what you find so frightfully amusing.
Never mind. Although I do find it amusing that Torvald has power over so many people. Would you like a macaroon, Dr. Ray?
Oh, dear macaroons. I thought they were contraband here.
Yes, so Christina bought them.
Why
You needn't be frightened. You couldn't possibly know that Torvald had forbidden them. After all, he thinks they'll spoil my teeth, but oh bother, just this once. One for you, Dr. Ray, and perhaps one for you, Christina. And I'll share one in the same. Or at most two. Dear, I am happy. You know, there's only one thing in this world that I really want.
And what's that?
I should so love to say something in Torvald's hearing.
Well, out with it.
I daren't. It's too ugly.
Ugly?
Well, in that case, you better not. But to us you might. Now, what is it that you would like to say in Elmer's hearing?
I should so love to say, damn!
Are you out of your mind?
Gracious Nora! I could never.
Oh, gosh. Say it. Yes, he's coming.
Well, dear, you've gotten rid of him.
Yes, he's just gone.
Well, let me introduce you. Torvald, dear, this is Christina.
Yes. Christina. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know.
Linden, dear, Christina Linden.
School friend of my wife's, no doubt.
Oh, yes, we were friends as girls.
Well, and just think, Torvald, she's come all this long way just to speak with you.
Well, not quite.
To speak to me.
Christina is tremendously clever at accounts, and she's come all this long journey to work under a first-rate man of business such as yourself.
Well, that's very sensible indeed.
And just think, she started off at once as soon as she heard the news because it was telegraphed, you know, and Torvald, dear, for my sake, surely you could do something for Christina.
Well, it's not impossible. I presume that you are a widow, Mrs. Linden.
Well, yes,
And that you have some experience in office work.
a great deal.
Well, then I think it's very likely that we might find a place for you.
No!
Oh, there's no occasion. You've come at a very fortunate time, Mrs. Linden. But I'm afraid for the present you must both excuse me.
Or wait, I'll come with you.
Don't be long, Torvald, dear.
Only an hour, no more.
Oh, well, you're going too, Christina?
Well, yes, I must look up for lodgings.
Well, perhaps we can go together.
Well, it's a shame we haven't room for you here, but it's impossible.
Oh no, I shouldn't think of troubling you. Thank you for your kindness, Nora.
Oh, of course. And you'll come back this evening, and you too, Dr. Rank, if you're feeling up for it. Of course you'll be feeling up for it. No, don't dress warm. Oh, look, it's my darlings. How are you, my darling Jimmy? Look at you with your rosy cheeks. Is this for me? Come on, Christina, look, aren't they lovely?
Come now, let's not stand here chattering in the trap. Come, Mrs. Linden. Only mothers can stand such temperatures.
Hey, my darling, what did you see? Here we are. Hello, I'm Vaughn. Hey, dear, I'm sure you're freezing. There should be some coffee on the stove. Go in, we'll play for a look. Now, how about we play a game of hide and seek, shall we? How about we count and you hide? Are you ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ready or not? Here we go. Okay, where could she possibly be? There you are. We found you. How about this time we hide and you count? Okay, I mean no peeking.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Hall.
My husband is not home, Mr. Crockstead.
I know it.
Then what do you want?
To speak a few words to you.
To me? Anna, darling! Let's go in and see Anna for a moment. No, darling, the strange man is not going to hurt Mama. We'll come on playing soon. Here we are. Okay. It's with me you wish to speak.
Yes.
But today is not the first yet, Mr.
No,
Crockstead.
today is Christmas Eve. It will depend on yourself whether you have a Merry Christmas.
Mr. Crockstead, I certainly cannot pay today.
Never mind that. It's about another matter. You have a minute to spare.
Yes, I suppose.
Good. I was sitting at the restaurant opposite, and I saw your husband go down the street.
Well,
With the lady.
what then?
May I ask if the lady was a Mrs. Linden,
Yes.
who has just come to town?
Yes, today, Mr. Crockstead.
I believe she's an intimate friend of yours.
Yes, we've been friends since we were girls, but I don't understand.
I used to know her too.
I'm well aware, Mr. Crockstead.
Ah. You know all about it then. I thought as much. Now, frankly, is Mrs. Linden to have a place in the bank?
Well, how dare you catechize me in this way, Mr. Crockstead? You, a subordinate of my husband. But since you ask, you shall know. Yes, Mrs. Linden is to be employed at the bank, and it is I who recommended her. Now you know.
Then my guess was right.
You see, Mr. Crockstead, when one has a little wee bit of influence, and it doesn't come because I'm a woman, when one is in a subordinate position, Mr. Crockstead, one must take care not to offend anybody who...
Has influence.
Exactly.
Mrs. Hall, will you have the kindness to employ your influence on my behalf?
What do you mean?
Would you be so good to see that I retain my subordinate position?
What do you mean? Who wants to take it from you?
You need pretend ignorance. I can understand that. It cannot be pleasant for your friend to meet me. And I can also understand now for whose sake I'm to be hounded out.
Mr. Krogstad, I assure you that I have no influence.
Come, once for all, there's time yet, and I advise you to use your influence to prevent it.
But I have no influence, Mr. Krogstad.
No, I thought you just...
Well, and not in that way. How should I have such influence over my husband?
No. I know your husband from our college days. I don't think he's firmer than other husbands are.
Mr. Krogstad, if you're going to be disrespectful of my husband, I must request you to go.
You are low, madam.
Well, I'm afraid of you no longer, Mr. Krogstad. Come New Year's Day, I'll soon be out of the whole business.
Mrs. Howard, if need be, I shall fight as though for my life to keep my little place in the bank.
Yes, so it seems.
It's not only about the money. That matters least to me. It's something else. Well, I'd better make a clean breast of it. Of course, you know, like everyone else, that some years ago I got into trouble.
Yes, I believe I heard something of the sort.
The matter never came into court. But from that moment on, all paths were barred. That is when I took up the business you know about. And I don't think I've been one of the worst. But now I must clear out of it all. My sons are growing up. For their sake, I must try to win back as much respectability as I can. Replacing the bank was the first step. And now your husband wants to kick me off the ladder. Back into the mire.
Mr. Krogstad, I assure you, I haven't the power to help you.
You have not the will. But I can compel you.
You will not tell my husband that I owe you money.
Suppose I were to.
No, why, it would be shameful of you. That secret is my pride and my joy, Mr. Krogstad. And that he should learn it in such an ugly and coarse way from you. Why, it would bring me all sorts of unpleasantness.
Only unpleasantness.
Go ahead and tell him, Mr. Krogstad, for then my husband will know what a bad man you are, and then you will surely not keep your place at the bank.
I only asked if it was domestic unpleasantness that you feel.
If my husband finds out about the money, Mr. Krogstad, we will of course pay you off at once, and then we will have nothing more to do with you.
Mrs. Howard, either you have a weak memory or you don't know much about business. I must make your position clear to you.
How so?
When your husband was very ill, you came to me to borrow $1,200.
I knew nobody else, Mr. Krogstad.
I promised to find you the money.
And you did find it.
I promised to find you the money under certain conditions. You were then so taken up about your husband's illness that, and so eager to have the money for your journey, that you probably did not give much thought to the details. Let me remind you of them. I promised to find you the amount in exchange for a note of hand which I drew.
And I signed it.
Quite right. But then I added a few lines, making your father security for the debt. He was to sign it.
Was to. He did sign it.
I had left the date blank. That is to say, your father blessed himself to date his signature. Do you recollect that?
Yes, I believe so.
Then I gave you the paper to send to your father. Is not that so?
Yes.
And of course, you did so at once. For within 5 or 6 days, you returned the paper signed by your father, and I gave you the money.
Yes, and haven't I made my payments punctually?
Fairly, yes. But to return to the point, you were in great trouble at the time, Mrs. Hall.
I was indeed.
Your father was very ill, I believe.
He was on his deathbed.
And died soon after.
Yes.
Tell me, Mrs. Hall, do you recollect the day of his death? The day of the month, I mean.
Father died on the 29th of September, Mr. Krogstad.
Precisely. I have made inquiries, and here comes the remarkable, which I cannot explain.
What remarkable point.
The remarkable point, madam, is that your father signed this paper 3 days after his death. Your father died on 29th of September. But look here. He has dated his signature October 2nd. Is not that remarkable, Mrs. Hall? Can you explain it? It is noteworthy, too, that the words October 2nd and the year are not in your father's handwriting. But in one I believe, I know. Well, this can be all explained. Your father may have forgotten to date his signature. And somebody may have dated his signature at random before the fact of his death was known. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes. Everything depends on the signature. It is genuine, Mrs. Hall. It was your father who, with his own hand, wrote his name here.
No. I signed my father's name there.
No. You are aware now that is a dangerous admission.
Why, you'll soon get your money.
May I ask you one more question, Mrs. Hall? Why did you not send the paper to your father?
Well, it was impossible, Mr. Krogstad. My father was on his deathbed. If I should have had to ask him for his signature, I should have had to tell him why I needed it, and I couldn't bear to tell him that my husband's life was in danger.
Then it would have been better for you to give it up to him.
Well, I couldn't do that either. My husband's life depended on that journey, Mr. Krogstad. I couldn't just give it up.
And did you not consider that you were playing me false?
That was nothing to me. I didn't care in the least about you. I couldn't endure you for all the cruel difficulties you made knowing my father was ill.
Mrs. Hall, you evidently have no clear idea what you have done. But I can assure you that it's nothing more and nothing worse that has made me an outcast from society.
You expect me to believe that you did a brave thing to save your wife's life?
The law takes no account of motives.
Well, then it must be a very bad law.
Bad or not, if I were to lay this document before a court of law, you will be condemned according to law.
You mean to tell me that a doctor has no right to spare her dying father anxiety? That a wife has no right to save her husband's life? I don't know much about the law, Mr. Krogstad, but I know that somewhere or another that is allowed, and you don't know that. You, a lawyer. Well, you must be a very bad one, Mr. Krogstad.
Possibly. But business, such business as ours, I do understand. You believe that? Very well. Do as you please. But may I tell you this? That if I'm flawed into the gutter a second time, you shall keep me company.
It's impossible. He's just trying to scare me, and I'm not so foolish as that. Unless, nope. I did it. I did it for love. I did it. Ellen, can you bring me the Christmas tree?
Where shall I stand it now?
There on the table, Ellen dear.
Shall I bring in anything else?
No, I have all that I need. He's just trying to scare me. Everything will be lovely for you, Torvald. The red flowers will be beautiful, and I will dance, and I will sing for you, Torvald. Well, the red flowers will adore me. Torvald, you're back so soon.
Yes, has anyone been here?
Here. No.
That's curious. Thought I saw Krogstad in the house.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, yes. By the by, he was just here for a moment, Torvald dear.
Yes, Nora, I could see it in your manner. And he told you to put in a good word for him, didn't he?
Yes, Torvald did.
And you were to say nothing about his having been here.
No, Torvald, but...
You were to do everything on your own accord. Isn't that right?
Yes, Torvald.
Nora. Nor that you could even condescend to that. To make that man a promise and then to tell me an untruth about it.
An untruth?
Then you say that no one had been here. My little Laura must never do that again. A songbird must never sing false notes. Now that's it, isn't it? Yes, I was quite sure. Very well. We'll say no more about it. How cozy and lovely our home is, Nora.
Torvald,
Yes.
I am so looking forward to Council Steinborg's fancy ball the day after tomorrow.
And I'm on the tenterhooks to see what surprises you have in store for me.
Well, it's just impossible.
What is?
Well, I can't think of anything good. Everything I think of is just so tired and meaningless.
That's my little Nora made that discovery.
What is it that you're working on, Torvald?
Big business.
Already?
Well, the retiring manager is letting me make some changes to the staff. This is going to occupy Christmas week. The whole thing will be straight by the new year.
That's what Mr. Cross said.
Huh?
Well, nothing, Torvald. I was hoping maybe you could do me a great favor.
All right, what can it be? Let's hear it.
Well, Torvald, dear, I would so love to look lovely in the fancy ball, and nobody has such exquisite taste as you. So, well, I was hoping that maybe you could find my costume and arrange it on to me.
So, my willful little woman is at a loss in making signals of distress.
Yes, Torvald, I cannot go on without you.
Yes, very well. Well, I'll think on it. We'll soon hit upon something.
That is very good of you. Well, just think, Torvald, how about those red flowers will show. about?
It's forgery. That's all. Don't you know what that means?
May it have been driven to it by me?
Well, yes, or like so many others, done it out of heedlessness. Now, Nora, I'm not so hard-hearted that I must condemn a man for one single fault. Many a man can retrieve his courage if he takes his crime and he owns it. But you see, Crockstead did not do this.
Why?
Because he resorted to tricks and dodges, and it is that has corrupted him.
Do you think that?
Well, just think how a man like that must always be lying and shamming and canting. Think of the mask he must wear towards his own wife and children. It's the worst for the children, Nora.
Why?
Because, my dear, such a dust cloud of lies poisons and contaminates the whole air of the household. Every breath that the children draw contains some germ of evil.
You believe that?
As a lawyer, my dear, I've seen it often enough. Nearly all cases of early corruption can be led right back to the lying mothers.
Why the mothers?
Well, my dear, it just so often comes from the mother's side. Though the father can exert some influence. And this Krogstad has been poisoning his children's heads for years past from a life with lies and hypocrisies. This is why I call him morally ruined. So, my sweet little wife must promise me not to plead his cause. Now come, shake my hand. Come, dear, what's this? Shake hands upon it, yes? There we are. There we go. Now, it is a bargain. I tell you, it would have been quite impossible for me to work with this Krogstad. It gives me a positive sense of physical discomfort even coming in contact with such people.
Is it hot in here? Why? I have so much to do, Torvald, dear.
Yes. And I must try to get some of these papers looked at before dinner.
Yes, dear.
Oh, and I'll think on her costume too, dear. Perhaps I'll even find something to hang gilt paper on the Christmas tree.
That's lovely. I poisoned my home. I corrupt my children. It's impossible. I have 2 little children.
The little ones are begging so
No, keep them with you. They mustn't come to me now, dear. They must stay with you. Very well. Now, my home. Poison my children. It's impossible. Why? Why, I did it for love. For love. Christmas Day, nor tomorrow either. Unless... No, there is no mail. Of course, he's just trying to frighten me, and I'm not so foolish. Nobody shall come today. Why, I have 2 little children. It's impossible.
And last I found the box with the fancy dress.
Well, that's lovely. Just set it near the table.
But it is very much out of order.
I do wish I could tear that into 1,000 pieces.
Nonsense. It can easily be put to rights. Just a little patience.
Well, perhaps I should go grab Mrs. Linden to help.
Going out again in such weather as this? He'll catch cold, ma'am, and be ill.
Worse things might happen. What are the children doing?
They're playing with their Christmas presents, poor little dears. But
Anna, do they often ask after me?
see, they've been so used to having their mama with them.
Yes, dear, but they can't get so used to having me around.
Children get used to anything.
Do you think so? Do you think they would forget that Mama, she went quite away?
Gracious me, quite away.
Tell me, Anna. Come sit. I've so often wondered something. Anna, dear. How did you bring yourself to give up your child to strangers?
Well, I had to when I came to nurse my little Miss Nora.
Yes, but how did you bring yourself up to do it?
When I had such a good chance as this, a poor girl who's been in trouble must take what comes. That wicked man did nothing for me.
But your daughter, she must have forgotten you.
No, ma'am, that she hasn't. She wrote to me both when she was confirmed and when she was married.
Dear. You were a good mother to me when I was little.
Poor little Nora has no mother but me.
And I'm sure that if my children had nobody else, then you would. Nonsense! Nonsense! Go to the children! And tomorrow you shall see how beautifully I'll dance.
I'm sure there will be no one at the ball as beautiful as my Miss Nora.
If I dared go out. If only nobody would come. They dance, and of course nobody will come. But a lonely coat. It's impossible. It's impossible. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're here. They're here. Christina! Christina, is there nobody else there? Christina, darling, do come in.
Well, I hear you called at my lodgings.
Yes, dear. I was just passing by. Come sit. I have something I'd like to discuss with you. Tomorrow there's to be this fancy ball at Council Stinboard's overhead. Well, Torvald, he wants me to dress as a Neapolitan fisher girl and dance the tarantella. I moved to a Capri.
Oh, I see, quite the performance.
Oh yes, it is. This is the costume, Christina. Torvald, he had it made for me in Italy, and now it's all torn. And
Well, now we can soon set this to rights.
that's very
It's only
kind of you.
trimming that's gotten torn. We can set this right. But I must thank you first for the pleasant evening yesterday.
Oh, Christina, I must tell you, it wasn't so pleasant as usual. You should have come a little sooner. You know, Torvald, he has a way of making home feel bright and beautiful.
You too, I should think. Or else you wouldn't be your father's daughter. But tell me, is Dr. Rank always so depressed as he was the other day?
No, yesterday was particularly striking. You see, Christina, Dr. Rank, he has a terrible illness. Spinal consumption. Poor fellow. They say his father led a terrible life, kept mistresses and things of the sort. So, naturally, he was very sickly as a child. You understand.
Nora, how do you hear of such things?
Well, Christina, when one has 2 little children, one has visits from women who know something of medicine. And they talk of this and that.
So he comes here every day.
Yes, Christina, every day. He's been Torvald's friend since boyhood. And he's my friend too. Dr. Ray is quite one of the family.
But tell me, is he quite sincere? I mean, doesn't he like to say flattering things to people?
Well, on the contrary, what makes you think so?
Well, when I came in yesterday, Dr. Wright knew exactly who I was, but your husband had no notion of.
Yes, Christina, he was quite right. You see, Torvald, he loves me so indescribably that he wants to have me all to himself. In the first year of our marriage, he would get jealous if I talked to people at home, so naturally I just let it alone. But you see, Dr. Rank, he likes to listen to me talk about the old times, so naturally I like to talk with him.
Listen to me, Nora. You're still a child in many ways, and I'm older and more experienced. I know something of these things. You must get clear of this entire affair with Dr. Wright.
Affair? What affair?
You were speaking yesterday of some gentleman who was to give you money.
Yes, one that never existed. Worse luck.
Who has
What
Dr.
thing?
Wright money?
Yes.
And no one to care for.
But no, Christina.
And he comes here every day.
Yes, Christina, every day.
Should have thought you had better taste.
Well, I don't understand you.
Well, don't pretend, Nora. You think I don't know who lent you the money?
You think that? You think that someone who comes here every day? Christina, how painful would that be?
That it really is not.
No, Christina, I assure you, I never even thought of asking Dr. Rank. Although I am sure that if I had spoken to him, then...
Which of course you never would.
Well, no, of course not. It would be inconceivable that it should ever be necessary. But I'm sure that if I'd spoken with him, then...
Behind your husband's back.
Yes. I must get out of the other thing that's behind his back first.
I told you so yesterday.
You know, Christina, a man can handle these things much better than a woman.
Woman's own husband, yes.
Nonsense. Christina, when I pay the money, I'll get back the paper.
Well, of course.
And then I can tear the whole thing up into 1,000 pieces, the nasty, filthy thing.
Nora, you're hiding something from me.
Can you see that in my face?
Something's happened since yesterday. What is it?
Christina. Oh, look, that must be Torvald coming home. Christina, go into the nursery and finish the dressmaking. I am to help you, Torvald. You can't bear to see dressmaking.
Very well, but I won't go until you've told me every last detail.
Torvald, dear. Oh, Torvald, I've been longing for you.
Was the dressmaker here?
No, Torvald, it's just Christina. She's helping me with my costume.
Yes.
Tomorrow you shall see how well I'll look.
Wasn't that a clever thought of mine?
Well, yes, but wasn't it splendid of me to have given in to you?
Splendid of you. Oh, you little madcap, I know that you don't mean it. But I won't disturb you. I dare say you want to be trying on.
Well, I suppose you're going to work then.
Yes. My dear, I've got more papers from the bank to work on.
Torvald,
Yes.
if your little squirrel were to ask you for something so silly,
Yes.
would you do it?
My dear, I must first
If
know
your
what
little
it is.
squirrel would jump and play, would you only be so nice and kind?
Yes, Nora, go on.
Your little lark would twitter from morning until dark.
That she does in any
And then
case.
she would be an elf and she'd dance in the moonlight for you, Torvald.
Nora, you can't possibly mean what you were hinting at this morning.
Yes, Torvald, I beg and I implore you.
My dear, have you really the courage to bring this up to me again?
Torvald, you must let Mr. Krogstad keep his place at the bank.
My dear, it is his place that I intend for Mrs. London.
Yes, and that is so good of you, but instead of Krogstad, you could dismiss some other clerk.
My God, this is incredible obstinacy. Because you've made a promise, this man.
Well, it's not that. Torvald, it's this man. He writes for the most scurrilous newspapers. He could do us such a lot of harm. You said so yourself. Why, I am mortally afraid of him.
I see. It is all recollections that frighten me.
What do you mean?
But of course, my dear, you're talking about your father.
Yes, of course. Torvald, this man, just think of the wicked things so strange to write about Father. Why, I believe they would have gotten him dismissed if you hadn't been sent to look into the thing and been so nice and kind.
My dear Nora, between your father and me, there is all the difference in the world. Your father was not altogether unimpeachable, but you see, I am darling, and I hope to remain so.
Torvald, nobody knows what things wicked men can hit upon. Just think of our home, Torvald. How cozy we are, you, me, and the children.
Yes, darling. You see, it's just by pleading his cause he made it impossible for me to keep Krogstad. You see, it's already well known at the bank that I intend to dismiss him. If I now let it be known that I let myself be twisted round my wife's little finger,
Well, what then?
nothing. But just so long as a willful little woman may have a way, I'm to make myself the laughingstock of everyone. And have them say I'm under petticoat government. Nora, I'd soon feel the consequences. Besides, there's one thing that makes it perfectly unreasonable for me to work with this Krogstad.
What thing?
I could have overlooked a shady character at a pinch.
Oh, yes, how did you Torvald do?
And I do hear that he's good at his work. But the fact is, Krogstad is an old college chum of mine. It was one of those rash friendships that one so often repents of later. I don't mind confessing it, my dear. He calls me by my Christian name. Even when others are present. He delights in putting on airs of familiarity. Torvald here, Torvald there. I tell you, my dear, it's quite painful for me. Krogstad would make my position at the bank perfectly unendurable.
Torvald, dear, you can't be serious.
No. But why not?
Torvald, that is such a petty reason.
Petty? Do you consider me petty?
No, dear, on the contrary.
No, very well. You consider me petty, and I must be petty, and my motives must be petty. Petty. Well, we'll soon put an end to this. Ellen!
What do you want? What are you doing?
Go on to settle this thing. Ellen, see that this makes it to a messenger at once. The address is on it here. And here's the money.
Very well.
There, Madam Obstinacy.
Torvald, dear, what was in that letter?
Krogstad's dismissal.
Get it back. Torvald, dear, there's still time, Torvald. Think of me and the home and the children, Torvald. Dear, there's still time. Surely think of the children, Torvald.
It's too late, my dear.
Yes. Too late.
Nora, I can understand your anxiety, though it is anything but flattering to me. What do I care about a black scribbler's spite? But I forgive you all the same. Because, my dear, I know that this is all just a display of your great love for me. And that is the way it should be, my dear. You see, let what will happen, happen. When the time comes, I shall have strength and courage enough for both of us. You shall see. I've broad shoulders, broad enough to bear the whole burden.
What do you mean by that?
The whole burden, I say.
That you will never do.
Yes, very well. Then we shall both bear it, my dear, as husband and wife. There. Are you quite satisfied? Come, let's not look like a scared little dove. It's nothing, it's all fancy. Now, you must play the tarantella through and practice the tambourine. So I'm going to be in my other room, just there, with the door closed, so that I hear nothing. You see? So you may practice as loudly as pleases you. And when Ray comes here, just tell him I'm to be found.
He would do it. He would do it, and in spite of all the world and America, never that's what to do. And what to do for shame. What to do. Dr. Rank. Dr. Frank, good afternoon, Dr. Frank. Do come in. Torvald, he's quite busy now. You mustn't go to him.
And you?
You know I always have time for you, Dr. Rank.
Thank you. And I shall avail myself of your kindnesses as long as I can.
What do you mean by that, as long as you can?
Yes. Does that frighten you?
Well, I think it's an odd expression. What does it mean?
Something that I have long prepared for. But I did not expect it would come so soon.
Come, Dr. Rank, sit. What is it?
I am running downhill. There is no help for it.
It's you.
Who else should it be? Why lie to oneself? I'm the most wretched of all my patients, Miss Helmer. I've been auditing my life account bankrupt. When a month is over, I shall be rotting in the church.
Oh, what an ugly way to talk.
The thing itself is so confoundedly ugly. And yet, so many other ugly things have to be gone through first. There's one last investigation to be made, and then I shall know exactly when the breakup will begin. There's one last thing I'd like to say to you. Elmer's delicate nature shrinks so from all that is horrible. I will not have him in my sick room.
Dr. Frank.
I will not have him, I say. Not on any account. I shall lock my door against him. And once I have ascertained the worst, I shall send you my visiting card with a black cross on it. And then you will know that the horror has begun.
Why, you're being perfectly unreasonable today, Dr. Rank, and I did so want you to be in a really good humor.
With death staring me in the face. And to suffer thus for another's sin. Where's the justice of it?
Nonsense, Dr. Rank. Cheer up.
Well, I suppose the whole thing's only worth laughing at. My poor spine was due penance for my father's wild oats. Yes, especially when his spine attacked. Never had any good of those oats.
Yes, that's the worst of it. Well, why did you laugh, Dr. Rank?
No, it was you that smiled.
No, it was you that laughed, Dr. Rank.
You're deeper than I thought.
Yes. Yes, I am in such a crazy mood today.
My, so it seems.
Death will not take you from Torvald and me.
Oh, you'll easily get over the loss. The absent are soon forgotten.
Do you believe that?
He will make fresh ties, and then
Who makes fresh ties?
you and Helmer will. You yourself were taking time by the forelock, it seems to me. Now, what was that Miss Linden doing here yesterday?
Surely you're not jealous of Christina.
Oh, yes, I am. She'll be my successor in this house. But when I'm gone, this will perhaps...
Actually, she's just in the next room.
Well, today as well. You see?
You're being perfectly unreasonable today, Dr. Rank. Now hush. And tomorrow you may fancy that my dancing is done all for you. And of course Torvald as well. Let me show you something, Dr. Rank.
What is it?
Look.
Silk stockings.
Flesh colored. Well, you can't see now, it's dark in here, but tomorrow. What are you looking at? No, you must only look at the feet, Dr. Rennie. Well, I suppose you can look at the rest as well. What are you looking so critical about? Do you think they won't fit me?
I can't possibly have you valid opinion
Oh,
on
for
that.
shame. Take that.
And tell me, what other wonders am I to see?
You shan't see any more. You don't behave nicely, Dr. Rennie.
When I sit here gossiping with you, I simply can't imagine what would have become of me if I had never entered this house.
Yes. I do think you feel at home with us.
And leave it all behind. And not to be able to leave behind the slightest token of gratitude. Scarcely even a passing regret. Nothing but an empty place filled by the nearest counter.
Dr. Frank, if I were to ask you...
What?
For a great favor.
Yes, yes.
No, Dr. Frank, I mean a very, very great favor.
Would you really for once make me so happy?
You don't even know what it is.
Then tell me.
No. I really can't. It's not only a favor, but help and advice.
So much the better. I can't possibly think of what you mean, but please, go on. Trust me.
Doesn't it trust nobody else? You are my best and truest friend. Very well, I will tell you, Dr. Rank. You must help me hinder something. You know how deeply and wonderfully Torvald loves me. Why, I believe he would give his very life for my sake if...
Nora, do you think he's the older one?
Who?
Who would gladly give his life for your sake? I've sworn you should know before I go. I shall never find another opportunity. Yes, Nora, it's true. Now you know that you can trust me as you can trust no one else.
Do let me pass.
Nora, please.
Ellen, dear, can you bring in the lamp? That was too bad of you, Dr. Rink.
That I loved you as deeply as anyone else. Was that too bad of me?
No. But that you should tell me so. It was so unnecessary.
What do you mean? Did you know? Nora! Mrs. Helmer, I ask you, did you know?
Just sit on the table, dear. How can I tell you what I knew or didn't know? What does it matter? How could you be so clumsy, Dr. Rink? It was all so nice.
At any rate, do not know that I am yours, soul and body. Now go on.
Go on now.
Make it tell me what you want.
I can tell you nothing.
Yes,
now.
yes, you mustn't punish. Please. You mustn't punish me in that way. Please. Let me do for you whatever a man can.
You really do nothing for me now. Besides, I really want no help. You see, Dr. Rink, it was only a fancy. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
No. Not exactly. But perhaps I ought to. Forever.
No, of course not. You must come and go as you've always done. You know very, very well that Torvald cannot go on without you.
Yes, but you.
Well, you know, I like having you here.
That's just what led me astray. You're a riddle to me. It is often seen to me that you enjoy being with me just as much as you enjoy being with Helmer.
Yes, dear, don't you understand? Oftentimes there's people that one loves and others one likes to talk to.
Yes, there's something in that.
Dr. Rank, when I was a little girl, I naturally loved Papa best, but I liked to steal into the servants' room. First of all, because they didn't lecture me, and secondly, because I liked to hear them speak.
Oh, I see. That is their place that I have taken.
No, dear, I didn't mean that. I just mean that with Torvald, with Torvald, it's the same as it was with Father.
If you please, ma'am.
Anything wrong?
No, it's my costume.
What's there?
Oh yes, that one. Yes, it's another one. It's a surprise for Torvald.
Ah. So that's the great secret.
Yes, that's the great secret. Do go in to see him, Dr. Rank. And please, keep him as long as you can.
Please. Make yourself easy. You shan't escape.
He's waiting in your kitchen?
Yes, he came up the back stairway.
Well, Ellen dear, didn't you tell him that I was engaged?
Yes, but it was no use.
And he won't leave.
Not until he had spoken with you, ma'am.
Very well then. Send him in, dear. And Ellen, do keep this a secret. It's a surprise for Torvald.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
No, it's coming. It's coming. What to do? What to do? Do be quiet, Mr. Krogstad. My husband is at home.
All right. I don't care.
What do you want, Mr. Krogstad?
A little information.
Well, be quick then. What is it?
I have got my dismissal.
I tried to prevent it, Mr. Krogstad, but it was no good. I fought for you to the last.
Does your husband care for you so little? He knows what I can bring upon you, and he dares.
How do you think that I would tell him, Mr. Krogstad?
I knew very well that you had it. It wasn't like my old friend Torvald Helmer showed so much courage.
Mr. Krogstad, please be kind enough to speak respectfully of my husband.
Certainly. With all due respect. But since you're so anxious to keep this natural secret, I suppose that you're a little clearer than yesterday as to what you have done.
Clearer than you could ever make me.
Yes. A bad lawyer such as I.
What do you want, Mr. Krogstad?
I wanted to see how you're getting on, Mrs. Tom. I've been thinking about you all day. A money lender, a penny lender. In short, a creature like me. That's what people would call heart.
With a joint, Mr. Krogstad, think of my children.
you and your husband live? Yes. I only came to tell you that you shouldn't take this matter too seriously. I shan't lodge any information for the present.
Of course not, of course not. Oh, I knew you wouldn't.
Yes. This whole thing could be settled quite quietly. Nobody need know. It could remain among us three.
My husband, he mustn't worry about the money, Mr. Krogstad.
How can you prevent it? Can you pay off the debt?
Well, no, not at once.
Or do you have any means of raising the money in the next few days?
None that I will make use of.
And if you had, would do you no good? If you offer me ever so much ready money, you should not get back your IOU.
Tell me, Mr. Krogstad, what it is that you want to do with the money?
Well, I want to keep it. To have it in my possession. Nobody should hear anything of it. So if you have any desperate schemes...
What if I do?
Mrs. Holland, if you should think of leaving your husband and children,
What if I have?
if you should think of something worse,
How did you know that?
put off that out of your head.
How did you know what was inside my head?
Most of us think of that at first. I thought of it too. But I had not the courage.
Nor I.
No one has. You haven't either, have you?
I haven't. I haven't.
Besides, it would be very silly after the first storm has passed. In my pocket, I have a letter from your husband,
Telling him everything.
sparing you as much as possible.
My husband must never get that letter. Mr. Krogstad, tell me how much you want it and I'll get you the money.
I demand
Well,
no.
I'm not talking about the money that I owe you. How much do you demand from my husband?
I demand no money from your
So
husband.
then what do you demand then?
I'll tell you. I want to regain my footing in the world. I want to rise. And your husband should help me to do it. For the past 18 months, my record has been spotless. And I've been in bitter need all the time. But I was content to fight my way, step by step. And now, I've been thrust out. And I won't be satisfied with merely being able to sneak back again. No. I will rise and take you. I must get back to the bank. In a higher position than before. Your husband should
My
be in
husband
prison.
will never
He will
do
do
that.
it. I know him. He won't dare refuse me. As soon as I'm in, you soon see. I shall be the manager's right hand. It won't be Torvald helmet, but Nils Krogstad.
That would never happen.
Perhaps.
Now I have the courage. You shall see, Mr. Krogstad. You shall see.
Perhaps under the ice. In the cold black water. And next spring to come up. Ugly, hairless.
You can't terrify me.
No, you. People don't do that sort of thing, Mrs. Hunt. Besides, we're good. I have your husband in my pocket all the same.
And afterwards, when I
You forget that your reputation remains in my hands. Well, now you are prepared. Do nothing foolish. So as soon as Howard has received my letter, I expect to hear from him. And remember that it was your husband himself who was forced me onto such paths again. That I will never forgive him. Goodbye, Mrs.
He has a letter. He's going down the stairs. He passed the box. The letter. No, it's over.
Well, I think it's all right.
Christina's here. Come here.
What's the matter? You look
Come here. Go look in the letterbox. Christina, do you see the letter?
Well, yes, I see it.
That letter is from Mr. Krogstad.
Nora, it was Krogstad who let you the money.
Yes, and now Torvald will know everything, Christina.
Believe me, I think it's best for you both.
You don't know all yet. Christina, I have forged a name. Christina, you shall bear me witness.
Witness how?
Christina, if I should go out of my mind, it might easily happen, or if something else should happen to me to where I couldn't be here myself.
You're quite
And need you to bear me witness that I did this. The whole thing, I myself. Do you understand?
Yes,
Then you must bear me witness that I am not out of my mind. I know quite well what I am saying. You understand? Nobody had anything else to do with this. I did this, I myself. Do not forget that.
Nora, I won't forget. But I don't understand.
How could you? It's the miracle coming to pass.
The miracle?
Yes, the miracle, Christina. But it's so terrible, it mustn't happen for anything in the world.
I will go talk to Krogstad.
No, Christina, he would do some harm.
No. Once, Nora, he would have done anything for me.
He?
Where does he live?
How should I get the card? But the letter, Christina, the letter.
Nora!
Oh, what is it there?
Oh, don't be frightened, my dear. When I'm coming in, you bolted the door. Are you trying on your dress?
Yes, dear, it suits me so well.
So he lives close by here?
Yes, but Christina, the letter is
And your
actually...
husband has the key?
Yes, always.
Krogstad, he must make so much
Christina, you don't understand. This is the time when Torvald generally
Well, then
checks.
prevent him. Keep him occupied. I'll be back as quickly as I can.
Okay. Torvald! Dear.
Now, may one come back into one's own room? All right, let's have a look-see. Why, what's this?
What is it, dear?
Nora, Greg led me to expect a grand dressing up.
Well, so I thought. Perhaps I was mistaken.
No one shall see me until my outfit until tomorrow evening.
Why, my dear Nora, you look so tired. Have you been practicing too hard?
No, Torvald, actually I haven't practiced at all.
Well, you must.
Yes, I must be. You must help me, Torvald. You must promise me.
All right.
I'm so terrified, Torvald, dear, in front of all those in front of all those people. You must give yourself up entirely to me. You mustn't even do a stroke of work, Torvald, dear.
All right, my dear, I promise. All this evening, I shall be your slave. You helpless little thing. But by the by,
What are you doing?
I'm going to see if we have any letters.
There's none there.
Let me just check.
Torvald, what if you regret me, like you used to do?
My dear, are you really so nervous?
Yes, dreadfully so. Do we have time before dinner? Don't you think? Dr. Ray, you could play, and Torvald, you could direct me.
Yes, all right.
Yes. Okay, well, it's on your room, Dr. Ray. Torvald, you ready, dear?
Yes, sir. Slower, darling.
Well, I can't do it slower, Torvald, dear.
Not so.
Well, I must, Torvald, I must.
No, this is awful.
Christina, we're having such fun here. Christina.
Nora, your dancing is a matter of life and death.
So it is.
This is the merest madness. Right? Stop it. Stop it, I say. I couldn't believe you, my dear. You really have forgotten absolutely everything that I taught you.
Yes. Didn't I tell you so?
Yes. You really do need teaching.
Dreadfully so. Torvald, you must give yourself up entirely to me. You mustn't
Yes,
do
ma'am.
a stroke of work, dude. You mustn't
I promise.
open a single letter. You mustn't even look in that letterbox.
Oh, I understand. That man is still frightening you.
Yes.
Nora, I could see it in your face. There's a letter from him in the
No,
box.
you promised me. You promised nothing must come between us until tomorrow evening.
You know you mustn't contradict her.
Fine, very well. The child shall have her own way. But tomorrow night, my dear, when the dance is over,
Then you will be free.
Dinner is ready, ma'am.
We'll have champagne, dear. Yes, ma'am.
dear me, quite a piece.
And macaroons. And plenty. Just this once. Poor God, dear.
Let's not have this wild excitement. Be my own little lark again.
Yes. Yes, I will. Go into the diner, and you too, Dr. Brink. Christina, can you stay and help me with my hair?
There's nothing in the wind. Nothing, I mean.
No, Rick, it's just this babyish anxiety I've been telling you about.
Well,
He's gone out of town.
I saw it in your face.
I left him a letter. He'll be back tomorrow.
You shouldn't have done that, Christina. Things must run their course. After all, there's something glorious in waiting for a miracle.
What are you waiting for?
You needn't worry. Go into the dining room. I'll be in a moment. Come on. $5 o'clock. 7 hours until midnight, and then 24 hours until the next midnight, and then the tarantella will be over. 24 and 7. Still 31 hours to live.
What has become of my little lark?
Right here, dear.
All righty then. Are you ready for an ice cold 5-cent Coca-Cola? That's Ibsen. Wow, right? So, we have just a 15-minute intermission, and then the third act, and you'll figure out what actually happens. I can't give you spoilers now. No spoilers. Back, everyone, and I have a couple of things things that I really think we should do before we begin the show that will take only a minute or two. And one of them is we have a 70th birthday in the house. She is my dear friend on her cell phone right now, so you're going to recognize you. Who are you? Oh, this is my friend Barbara Thompson, and it's okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Barbara. Happy birthday to you. And the other thing, I have to peek my head. 1 second, so you guys keep drinking your ice cold. Oh, that's cute. Right, not quite ready for that one. Okay, so you remember I told you about the cell phones, all right? So I know y'all you people, I know you're texting and Instagramming and Twitching and all of that stuff. I would like to mention to you that on your program, I think you saw a mission statement, CA Studios mission, and I'd like you to all have a chance to look at that, because that has just been decided upon. And I think it's very important to us. And there are many things on it that make CA Studio what it is, and we are dedicated to those things. And when you come to the shows, you will recognize those things. And all that to say this: if you're hunting for ways to give your money away, I'll take it. We're going to be in the market for sponsors for next year. We are not a nonprofit yet, but that process is underway, and I'm very proud of that fact. If you want to know more about what we do, you can talk to a lot of people in this room, but Daria Brett, my friend Daria Brett, long time, wave your hand at them, Daria, this is friendly time, okay? Is a good person to talk to. Also, Scott Bell sitting here in the front is a good person to talk to. You might even want to talk to one of the kids. And I call you kids because you're young enough to be my children. Tyler Banks and Adam McGee and all that. But what do we do? Why do we do it? Why do you spend so much of your volunteer time here at the CA Studio? So if you want to talk to me, I'll just overwhelm you with lots and lots of time.
I just have one thing I have to say about this. We moved from Idaho when our oldest daughter was in first grade. And she came here and it was like, where did we go? It was like they did snowball fights at recess. Here, it was 40 degrees, couldn't go outside, you know? We used to have to drive by the young tree. She did Miss Kathy with us, so we were great. No, we can ask her, she saved us.
Birthday speech. No. Done yet? Done yet. Anyway, just let us know. Okay, so again, hold on to those Coke bottles. Strong, strong hands on those Coke bottles, okay? If you want me to pick up empties, I'll pick them up right now so you won't have to mind them. Just pass them to the end of your row. Yes. Pass them to the end of your row. And we will welcome the cast back with the beautiful costumes and the wonderful Ibsen that is being developed. Okay, only Kathy Coleman turned hers in. All right. Good for you. All right. The audience, I told them of the nice things you said, and we appreciate you. So we invite your attention to the second act, third act, of Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. Still not here. You would call. There he is. Come in.
found a note from you at my house. What does it mean?
I must speak with you.
Indeed. And in this house?
Well, yes. I could not see you in my rooms. There's no separate entrance. But do come in. We are alone. The servants there asleep, and the Helmers are at the ball upstairs.
Oh. So the Helmers are dancing this evening. Really?
Yes. Why not?
Quite right. Why not?
So, let us talk a little.
Have we anything to say to each other?
A great deal.
I should not have thought so.
Because you've never quite understood me.
What was there to understand? The most natural thing in the world. A heartless woman throws a man over when a better match offers.
Do you really think me so heartless? Do you think I broke with you so lightly?
Did you not?
Do you think so?
If not, why did you write to me that letter?
Was it not best? Was it not right that I should try to put an end to your love for me?
So that was it. And all of this for the sake of money.
Ought not forget. I had a helpless mother and 2 little brothers. We could not wait for you as your prospects then stood.
Did that give you the right to discard me for another?
I don't know. I've often asked myself whether what I did was right.
When I have lost you, the very ground seemed to sink from under my feet. Look at me now. I'm a shipwrecked man, clinging to a spar.
Rescue may be at hand.
It was at hand. But then you stood in the way.
Without my knowledge, Nils. I didn't know until today that it was your place I was to take at the bank.
Well, I will take your word for it. But now you do know. Do you mean to give way?
No, it would not help you.
Help! I should do as well enough.
And I have learned prudence. Life and bitter necessity have schooled me.
And life has taught me not to trust fine speeches.
And life has taught you a very sensible thing. But deeds you will trust.
What do you mean?
You said you were a shipwrecked man clinging to a spar.
I have good reason to say so.
And I am a shipwrecked woman clinging to a spar. I have no one to care for.
You made your own choice.
I had no choice.
Well, what then?
What if? What if we 2 shipwrecked people could join hands?
What?
What if we lashed the spars together?
Christina!
What do you think brought me to town?
Had you any thought of me?
I must work or I can't live. All my life, work has been my one great joy. But now I have nothing to work for. Nils, give me something and somebody to work for.
No. No! It can never be. It's simply a woman's romantic notion of self-sacrifice.
Have you ever found me to be romantic?
Would you quit? Tell me, do you know of my past?
Yes.
Do you know what people say of me?
Did you not say just now that with me you would have been a different man?
I'm sure.
Then is it too late?
Christina, do you know what you are doing? Yes. Let me see. Have you courage?
I need someone to tend me. Your children need a mother. You need me, Nels. And I need you. I believe in your better self. And with you, I fear nothing.
Thank you, Chris. Now I'll go make others see me as you.
Oh no, you must go. You must go. The dance is almost over.
Why? What is it?
You don't hear the music overhead? As soon as it stops, they'll be here.
Yes, I'll go. Let's do it. Of course you don't know the step I've taken against the Helmers.
Yes, I do know.
And yet you still have the courage.
I know what lengths despair can drive a man to.
If only I could undo it.
Well, you still can. The letter is still in the box.
Are you sure?
Well, yes, but... What?
Ah. Now I understand. You want to save your friend at any price. Say it out. It's not your idea.
No, Nils, no. A woman who has sold herself once for the sake of others does not do so again.
I will get back my letter. Excuse me.
No, you can't.
Yes, of course. I'll wait till Nora comes. I'll ask for her back that it's only about my dismissal. I don't want to
No, you can't recall the letter.
But tell me, isn't that just why you had me to come here?
Well, yes, in my first terror. But I've seen things since I've been in this house. Helmer must know everything. They can't go on with all these lies and concealments. They must come to an understanding.
Very well, if you like to listen. One thing I can do, and at once.
Well, no, you must go. The dance is almost over. We're not safe another moment.
I'll wait for you in the streets.
Yes, you must. I need you to walk me home.
I've never been so happy in my life.
Go!
Yes.
Oh, what a change. Oh, what a change. I have someone to work for, something to do. Oh, I must set in earnest.
My dear, please. Agree?
Good evening, Christina.
Oh, Mrs. Linden, hello. You here so late?
Well, yes. I couldn't go without seeing Nora in costume.
Have you been waiting this whole time?
Well, yes, I arrived too late, but I just couldn't leave without seeing you.
Well, then just look at her. I think she's worth looking at. Isn't she terrific, Mrs. Linden?
Well, yes, I must say.
Yes, but isn't she exquisite? Everyone thought so. And she's dreadfully obstinate. She just think I'd almost force her away.
You'll be sorry someday you didn't let me stay.
There. You hear her, Mrs. Linden. She dances her tarantella with wild applause, and well, she deserved it, I might say. Though there was perhaps a little too much nature in her rendering of the idea that was not altogether artistic. But never mind. She made a grand success, and that is the main thing. Should I have let her stay after that? What, to weaken the impression? No. No, I took my little Capri girl, my capricious little Capri girl, I might say, under my arm, a rapid turn around the room, a curtsy to all sides. And as they say in the novels, Mrs. Linden, the apparition vanished. You see, an exit should always be effective. But I can't get our poor Nora here to see it. My joke is warming here. Oh, what's this? No lie. You'll have to excuse me.
Well, you must tell your husband.
I knew it.
You have nothing to fear from Krogstad, but your husband must know.
I will not speak.
The letter will.
Thank you, Christina. I now know what I must do. Hush.
Well, Mrs. Lendon, have you admired her?
Yes. And now I'll say goodnight.
What? So soon? Tell me, does this knitting belong to you?
Oh, well, yes. I was almost forgetting it.
So then you do knit?
Yes,
Do you know, you really ought to embroider instead.
indeed.
Yes, well, you see, because it's just so much more pretty. You see, you hold the embroidery in your left hand like so. And with your right hand, you go in long, easy curves, now don't you?
Yes, I suppose.
Yes, but you see, knitting is always so ugly. See, you've got your arms tied in like this, and the needles are going up and down. There's something awfully Chinese about the whole thing, wouldn't you say? That was splendid champagne they gave us tonight.
Good night, Nora. Don't be so obstinate anymore.
Well said, Mrs. Lendon.
Good night, Mr. Homer.
Yes, good night. Good night, my dear. I should hope that you get home safely. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Lendon, I shall be very glad to have... You know, you really haven't far to go, do you? Good night! Good night! There. At last we are rid of her. She's an awful bore, wouldn't you say?
Aren't you very tired, Torvald?
Not in the least.
Nor sleepy?
Not a bit. No, my dear, I feel particularly lively this evening. But you do look so tired and sleepy, don't you?
Yes, I'm very tired, Torvald, but I shall soon sleep.
Ah, you see? I was right not to let you stay any longer.
Yes, Torvald, everything you do is right.
Now my lord is speaking like a reasonable being. Did you notice how jolly Rank was this evening?
No, I hadn't the chance to speak with him.
Yes, nor I much. But it's been such a long time since I've seen him in spirits quite that high. Isn't it splendid, darling, to be back in our own home together, quite alone, you exquisite creature.
You can't look at me this way, Torvald.
Am I not to look at my dearest treasure? And the loveliness that is mine and mine alone, wholly and entirely
You
mine.
cannot say these things to me tonight, Torvald.
Oh, I see. You have the tarantella still in your blood. And you see, my dear, that makes you all the more enticing to me. Listen, the other people are gone now, Nora. Soon the whole house will be still.
I hope so.
Yes. Don't you, Nora, darling? My dear, when we are amongst strangers, do you know why it is that I speak so little to you? And I only steal a glance at you now and then. Do you know why I do it? You see, it's because I'm fancying that we love each other in secret. That I'm secretly betrothed to you. And that no one can tell that there is anything between us.
Yes. Torvald, I know what your thoughts are with me.
And then when we have to go, and I put the shawl about your shoulders, and this glorious neck of yours, I imagine that you're my bride, that our marriage is just over, and that I'm taking you home for the first time. And for the first time, my dear, we're all alone. You and your trembling loveliness. You see, Nora, this evening I was longing for you, and only you. And I watched you swirling and weighing the tarantella. My dear, my blood boiled. I couldn't contain myself from my
Yes, Torvald. You cannot look at me this way this evening.
What is all this? Ah, I see. Whoa. You're teasing me. Am I not your husband?
Did you hear that?
Who can that be? Who is it? Oh God, what does he want? Yes, just wait a moment. Come in. So good of you to look in on us.
I thought I heard your voice, and that's what put it in my head.
Oh, this dear old place.
My, how cozy you two are here.
Yes, you seem to find it pleasant enough upstairs, too.
And why not? Why shouldn't one give all one can out of the world? All one can, for as long as one can. You know, the wine was splendid tonight, a very fine Sicilian cask.
Yes, especially the champagne.
Oh, did you notice? It's incredible the amount I could try to get down.
Yes. Torvald had plenty of champagne too.
Did
Yes, it always puts him in such spirits.
he? Well, why not? Why shouldn't one have a jolly evening after a well-spent day?
Oh, well spent. Well, my friend, I really don't think that I have much to boast.
Oh, but my friend, I do. I do. Don't you see?
I suppose you've been engaged in scientific investigation then.
Quite right.
Dear me, little Nora talking about scientific investigation.
The results, they were good then.
The best possible for both the doctor and the patient. Certainty.
Certainty.
Absolute certainty. Wasn't I right to enjoy myself after?
Yes. Yes, quite right.
And so say I, right? Now that's provided that you don't have to pay for it tomorrow.
Well, my friend, nothing in this world is to be had for nothing.
Aren't you very fond of masquerades, Dr. Rick?
Yes, when there are plenty of comparable disguises to go around.
Well, tell me, what shall we two be at the next masquerade?
Gracious. Little insatiable, already thinking of your next masquerade.
We too. Very well. You must go as a good fairy.
What sort of costume would indicate that, right?
She is simply to wear her everyday dress.
It's capital. That's a capital idea. And what about you, friend? Do you know what you yourself would go as?
Yes, my friend, I am perfectly clear upon that point.
Well,
for the next masquerade, I shall be invisible.
that's such a comical idea.
There's a big black hat. Haven't you heard of the invisible hat? It comes down all over you, and then no one can see you.
I suppose that's right.
But I'm quite forgetting what I came for. Henrik, give me a cigar. One of the Biedenharn.
With the greatest pleasure, my friend.
Perhaps I shall give you a light, Dr. Rick.
1,000 pennies. And now, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Goodbye, dear fellow.
Sleep well, Dr. Rick.
Thank you for the wish.
Wish me the same.
You. Very well. Sleep well. And thank you for the light.
Oh, he's been drinking a great deal, don't you think?
I dare say. What are you doing?
Going to see about emptying the letterbox, my dear. It's quite full. There's going to be no room for tomorrow's newspaper. Why, Nora? Someone's been at the lock.
The lock.
Yes, I'm quite sure of it. God, I can't think. You don't imagine that the servants... what can it mean? Nora, there's a broken hairpin. My dear, it's one of yours.
Well, it must have been one of the children.
Well, then you must break them of such tricks. There, I've got it open. My, just look at how much they've accumulated. Well, what's this?
What?
Nora. It's 2 visiting cards from Dr. Rank.
From Dr. Rank?
Yes, Rank. They were right on top. You must have just put them
Was there
in.
anything on them?
Yes, there's just 2 black cross in his name. What a horrid idea. You would think that the man was announcing his own death.
So he is.
What? Do you know anything? Has he told you anything?
Yes. Torvald. Dr. Rank has taken his last leave with us. He means to shut himself up and die.
Poor fellow. My God, I know that we couldn't have hoped to have kept him for much longer, but so soon. And have to retreat back to his lair like he's a wounded animal.
What must be, must be. In the fewer words the better, don't you think?
Yes, but he's so grown into our lives here. I can't imagine that he's gone. His loneliness and his suffering form a sort of cloudy background to our sunshine and happiness. Perhaps it is the best. At any rate, for him. And perhaps for us too, Nora dear. Oh, you see, we are thrust entirely upon one another. My dear Nora, do you know that I often wish that some danger might overtake you and threaten you, so that I would have to risk life and limb. Everything, darling, for your dear sake. My dear, I feel as I can never hold you close enough.
Dear, perhaps you should read your letters.
No. My dear wife, I want to be with you.
With the thought of your dying friend.
Yes. That's right. This has shaken us both. Unloveliness has come between us. Thoughts of death and decay. We must work to cast them out. Until then, my dear, we shall remain apart.
Good night, Torvald.
Good night, my dear. Sleep well, Nora. Now, I shall go and read my letters.
Blood. I see water. Blood. Is there any more? Oh, no. Goodbye, Torvald. Goodbye, my little ones.
Nora! What is this? Do you know it's in this letter?
It's Torvald, you can't save me. Let me go, Torvald.
Oh, I don't want to go.
You can't save me, Torvald.
True. Is it true what he writes?
Yes, it is true that I have loved you beyond all else in the world.
Oh, I don't want any melodramatic airs. Do you understand what you've done? Answer!
Yes. Now I begin to fully understand it.
She who was my pride and my joy is a hypocrite. Or worse, a liar. Worse, a criminal. I should have expected something of this kind. Call your father's dishonesty. You be silent! Your father's dishonesty, I say. For years I shielded the man, and now you repay me like this.
Yes. Like this.
I'm in the power of a scoundrel. He can do whatever he pleases with me, demand whatever he chooses, and I must submit.
When I am gone, you will be free.
Oh, no fine phrases. Your father, too, was always ready with them. What good would it do me if you were gone, as you say? Now, you can very well publish the story. I might even be suspected of collusion, and for all this, I've you to thank. You who have done nothing but pet and spoil. Do you understand what you've done now?
Yes.
It's incredible. I can't grasp it. But we must come to an understanding. Take that coat off. Take it off, I say! I must try to pacify him in some way. The secret must be kept, cost what it may. And we will continue to live as we've always done, but only in the eyes of the world. You will still live here, but the children shall not be left in your care. I dare not trust them with you. From now on, there's going to be no more question of happiness. Just the saving of the ruins, the shreds, the show of it. What's that? You're so late. Can it be the worst? Nora, hide yourself. You say the joy ill.
A letter, sir, for Mrs. Elmer.
Give it to me. Yes, it's from him. You shall not have it. I shall read it.
Read it.
I've hardly the courage to. We may be lost, both you and I. Oh, I must know. Nora! Oh, I must read it again. Yes, Nora, I'm saved, Nora. Nora, I'm saved.
And I?
Yes, you too. Yes, I'm both saved, both of us. Look here, darling. He sent you back a promissory note. He writes that he regrets and apologizes, a happy turn in his life. Well, Nora, what matter is it what the man writes? We're saved. We are saved, Nora. Well, let me just see. No. No. I won't even look at it. You see? The whole thing is just going to be as a dream to me. Like it never happened. There. Oh, dear. Nora, he wrote that ever since Christmas Eve, Oh, Nora. These must have been 3 awful days for you.
I have fought a hard fight the last 3 days.
Yes. Yes, and in your agony you saw no other outlet but. No, it won't even think of it again. It is over. It will simply exclaim that it is all over. Don't you hear it, Nora? My dear, you don't seem to be able to grasp it. I understand. You can't believe that I've forgiven you. But you see, I have here. I swear it. I have forgiven everything. But you see, I know that all that you did was only for the love of me.
That is true.
Yes. Yes, you see, you love me as a wife should love her husband. It was only the means that you misjudged, my dear. Lean on me. I should be no true man if this very womanly helplessness of yours did not make you doubly dear in my eyes. My dear, you mustn't think of the harsh things I said earlier in my first moments of terror. It's all nothing. I forgive you, Nora. Really, I swear it. I've forgiven you.
I thank you for your forgiveness.
My dear, where are you going? What are you going to do?
To take off my doll's dress.
Yes, do so, my dear. Yes, try to calm down and recover your balance. My scared little dove. Here you are safe. Here I can shield you like a hunted dove whom I've just saved from the claws of the hawk. Here, Nora, in our beautiful home, I will soon bring your beating heart to rest. Yes, Nora, very soon. Tomorrow, dear, everything will be quite different. You shall see. Yes, everything will be as it once was. I shall not have to tell you again, my dear, that I forgive you. No. No, you shall see it in your heart that it is true. How could I find it myself to drive you away, or even so much as to reproach you, Nora? Really, you don't know a true man's heart. You see, my dear, there is something indescribably sweet for a man in having just forgiven his wife. You see, now she becomes his property in a double sense. She is as though born again. She is all at once now his wife and his child. And you see, that is what you shall be to me, Nora dear. Henceforth, my bewildered, helpless little darling. You should never worry again, my dear. Only open your heart to me, and I will be both will and conscience to you. Nora, what is this? You've not gone to bed. You've changed your dress.
Yes, Torvald, now I have changed my dress.
But why, my dear?
I shall not sleep tonight, Torvald.
But you must, darling.
Torvald, sit. I have much to say to you.
My dear, you frighten me. I don't...
Torvald, sit. We have much to talk over with each other.
Nora, you alarm me. I'm afraid that I don't understand.
No, Torvald. That is just it. You don't understand me, and I have never understood you until tonight.
But
no,
why?
do not interrupt me. Only listen to what I have to say. You and I must come to a final settlement, Torvald.
How do you mean?
Does nothing strike you as we sit here?
What should strike me, darling?
We have been married 8 years. Does it not strike you that this is the first time that we two, you and I, man and wife, have sat down and talked together seriously?
Dear Nora, what have you to do with serious things?
There we have it. You have never understood me. I have had great injustice done to me, Torvald, first by my father, and then by you.
By your father and then me, we who have loved you more than all the
You
world.
have never loved me. You only thought it amusing to be in love with me.
My dear Nora, what a thing for you to say to me.
Yes, it is. When I was at home with Father, he used to tell me all of his opinions. Naturally, I had the same opinions, or if I had others, I concealed them, for he would have liked it. He used to call me his doll child, and he would play with me in the same way that I played with my dolls. And then I came to live at your house.
What an expression to use about our marriage. Nora, have you not been happy here?
No. Only married. Our home has been nothing but a playroom for me, Torvald. Here I am, your doll wife, just as at home I was Father's doll child, and in turn the children have been my dolls. I thought it fun when you played with me, just as the children do when I'm with them. That has been our marriage, Torvald.
There is some truth in what you say. Exaggerated and overstrained, though it may be. But my dear, henceforth it shall be different. I promise, playtime is over. Now comes the time for education.
Whose education? Mine or the children's?
Both, my dear.
Torvald, you cannot teach me to be a fit wife for you.
And
Am I fit to educate the children?
Oh, Nora.
Or did you not say a moment ago that you dared not trust them to me?
In the excitement of the moment. Now, why should you dwell upon that now?
Yes. Yes, you're quite right. That point is beyond me. There's another matter to be settled first. First, I must try to educate myself. And you are not the man to help me in that. I must stand about it quite alone. Torvald, that is why I am now leaving you.
Nora, do you mean to say?
I need to stand alone in order to learn myself and my surroundings. I am leaving at once. Christina will take me in.
Nora, you're mad. I shall not allow it. I forbid it.
There's no use your forbidding me anything, Torvald. I will take only what is mine, and from you I will accept nothing either now or afterwards.
Nora, my God.
Tomorrow I shall go home.
How?
I mean to what was my home. There I can find some opening.
Oh, in your blind experience.
I must try to gain experience.
To forsake your home, your husband, and your children. Do not consider what the world will say. Nor can you really forsake your holiest duties in this way.
And what do you call my holiest duties?
Do you really ask me that? Nora, your duties to your husband and your children.
I have other duties equally as sacred.
Oh, nonsense. What duties could you possibly be referring to?
My duties towards myself.
My dear, before all else, you are a wife and a mother.
That I no longer believe. Before all else, I am a human being, just as much as you are. Or at least I will try to become one.
Nora, what about your religion? That's very well, if religion cannot save you, well, perhaps I can appeal to your conscience, for I assume that you still have some type of moral feeling. Well, tell me, perhaps you have none.
I have the moral feeling that a woman has the right to spare her dying father and save her husband's life.
You talk like a child. You don't understand the society in which you live.
No, I don't. But I will try to. And then I will decide which is right. Society or I.
Nora, you're ill. You're feverish. Well, I almost think that you're out of your senses.
I have never felt so much clearness and certainty as I do tonight.
You are clear and certain enough to protect your husband and your children.
Yes, I am.
Then there's only one explanation possible.
What is that?
You no longer love me.
No, Torvald. That is just it.
Nora, can you even say so?
I'm so sorry. For you have always been so kind to me. But I cannot deny it. I do not love you any longer.
Very well. And you are clear and certain on this point too?
Yes.
May I then know what it is that I have done to forfeit your love?
Yes, you can. It was the miracle tonight when it did not happen, for then I saw you were not the man that I had taken you for.
You're going to have to explain yourself more clearly, Nora. I don't understand.
Torvald, dear, I have waited patiently these 8 years, for I saw very clearly that miracles do not happen every day. But when this crushing blow threatened my life, I said to myself confidently, now comes the miracle. When Crockstead's letter lay in that box, it never for a moment occurred to me that you would think of submitting to that man's conditions. I was convinced that you would say to him, make it known to all the world, and that then...
Well, what?
Then
When I gave you the name.
firmly believed that you would come forward. Make it known to all the world that you did this.
Nora.
You mean to say that I would accept such a sacrifice? No, Torvald. Of course not. That is the miracle that I hoped for and dreaded. It was to stop your lying for my sake that I wanted to die.
My dear Nora, I would gladly work day and night for you. Bear want and sorrow, but no man sacrifices his honor. Not even for the woman that he loves.
Millions of women have done so.
You think and you talk like a silly child.
Very likely. But you neither think nor talk like the man I could share my life with. When your terror was over, not for me but for yourself, when there was nothing more for you to fear, then it was to you as though nothing had happened. I was your lark then, your doll.
I see it. I see it. An abyss has opened between us. But Nora, can it never be filled?
As I now am, I am no wife for you.
Yes, but darling, perhaps I can be a husband to you. Please, I have
Perhaps.
strength to become another man.
When your doll is taken away from you.
Nora, no, I cannot bear the thought.
The more reason for the thing to happen.
But Nora, you are my wife, now and always. Perhaps we can live here together as brother and sister.
You know very well that that will not last, Torvald. When I am settled, Christina will take me in. Torvald, I have heard that in the eyes of the law, when a woman leaves her husband, as I am now doing, then he is released from all duties towards her. At any rate, I release you from your duties. There shall be perfect freedom on both sides. Neither one of us shall be bound any more than the other. Give me my ring.
Here it is.
There. Now it is all over.
Over.
Here's the key. The servants know about everything in the house better than I do.
All over. Nora, will you never think of me again?
Lord, I shall think of you often. And the children and in this house.
May I write to you here?
No. Never.
But I must give
You
you.
mustn't.
I have to give you money if you need it.
I will accept nothing from strangers.
Can I only ever be a stranger to you, my dear?
Then the miracle of miracles would have to happen.
What is the miracle of miracles, darling?
We must both change so that Torvald, I no longer believe in miracles.
Yes, but I will do. We must so change so that
communion between us would be a real marriage. Why?
Nora. Nora, please wait. Empty. She's gone. The miracle of miracles.